Welcome to the Robert A. Kalka Metropolitan Skyport Executive Briefing. On behalf of the entire team, I would like to thank you for granting us the opportunity to perform this engagement. Allow me to introduce our diligent team members. We have Nizar, he's our project manager, Omar, he's our security engineer, Sami, compliance consultant, Mustafa, penetration tester, Hamza, customer satisfaction manager, and Ahmad, lead penetration tester. Next, let's take a look at the agenda for today. First, we're gonna go through the methodology we used, then we're gonna have a look at the executive summary, we're gonna take a look at some statistics, we'll have some compliance talks, some key stakes, and finally recommendations. And when we're done, we're gonna take your questions.
Now we're going to talk about our methodology and the approach we took while doing the security assessment. First, we have the severity, which is a measure of how much of the vulnerability, how much it impacts the infrastructure. Then we have the degree of exposure. It's a measure of how much of widespread does it do on your infrastructure. And we have the ease of exploitation, which assesses how easy it is for an attacker to exploit this vulnerability. The business impact, in which we analyze the potential consequences to the operations and the operations. And lastly, the effort to fix, how much time, money, effort used to fix these vulnerabilities. Now, for the objectives of this reassessment, we have general security, in which we ensure adherence to the best practices of the cybersecurity, and integrity, in which we validate the integrity of the business process and customer experience systems, and the mitigation, in which we ensure the remediation of the findings from the previous assessment, and lastly, we verify compliance to the industry standards. Now we're going to talk about the assessment scope that we had. We have 4 networks and a cloud environment. We had the guest network, the user network, the train system network, and the corporate network, and lastly, the AWS cloud environment. This extensive scope guarantees a detailed examination of the network's infrastructure.
Now, let's take a moment to review your current security posture. Finals 13 have identified that the security posture of our AKMS to be at a critical position. Over the past 2 days, we've uncovered a total of 42 vulnerabilities, and financially, we're looking at $8.2 million in compliance fines. 73 compliance violations were found in your environment. From the first assessment, 31% of the vulnerabilities have been remediated successfully. 14 of your endpoints have been compromised by Finals 13, and Finals 13 have found that potential attackers could breach your network to find all of your customers' data. Now talking about vulnerabilities found, 14 critical vulnerabilities were found in your environment, those which could lead to airport operations disruptions and could lead to loss of life. 13 high and 12 medium, 1 low and 1 informational. 3 of 6 critical findings in the first assessment have been correctly remediated.
So, Finals 13 have assessed our AKMS compliance against 2 industry standards. One is the PCI DSS, and the other is the TSA cybersecurity requirements for airport and aircraft operators. So, in regarding to the top violations that have been found, for PCI DSS, we have revealed unencrypted customer credit card data. For network segregation, it is a violation that is combined between PCI DSS and TSA. We were actually able to reveal customer cardholder data from the VDI network or the attacker network, and access control, which is a combined violation between TSA and PCI DSS. We were actually been able to access many web applications and systems with little to no authentication. For PCI DSS, the most relevant issues were the lack of cardholder data protection and encryption, and the excessive storage of cardholder data. For TSA, the most relevant issues included unpatched software and the lack of network segmentation.
Team Finals 13 understands that compliance violations are concerning to you. However, it is also equally important to recognize notable areas of strength we found in your environment. First of all, firewalls. Our AKMS's investments in firewalls and the configuration set up in place have been effective during our assessment. Firewalls mitigate risk by blocking unwanted traffic. And next, the operational security awareness. Your employees at our AKMS have shown an exceptional level of vigilance and security awareness during our phishing assessment. This is also important in recognizing future cybersecurity attacks and being able to formulate an appropriate response to them.
It's even much more important to recognize the potential areas of improvement in our environment. Starting off with security solutions. Finance 13 were able to successfully run highly detectable malicious software on employees' computers. To help you mitigate this, we advise you to implement advanced malware detection software. Moving on to access control mechanisms. Finance 13 have noticed that technical employees were not utilizing best practices and industry standards when designing access control mechanisms. To help you secure this, we advise you to educate technical staff and conduct technical trainings for technical staff regarding access control mechanisms and secure software development generally. Moving on lastly to social engineering. Finance 13 has successfully utilized social engineering to convince an employee to run malicious software on their own computer using a phishing email. To help you with this, to help you secure the weakest link, we suggest that you conduct full operational awareness training for all your employees. Eliminating such weaknesses can help us maintain a well-rounded security posture.
So, overall, the security posture based on the industry for RIKMS is relatively good. However, there is room for improvement. We have found that after the first engagement, unfortunately, the environment has become less compliant and less secure. We would be happy to take your questions now.
All right, thank you very much. You're really very solid. So with your recommendations, I mean, if you were us, what's the absolute first thing you would do? We should do.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so if I were in your shoes, I would start off by the violations, the compliance violations, because the end of the quarter is coming up. You don't want to have these compliance issues by the end of the quarter. You have to resolve them before the end of the quarter. So I would start with the vulnerabilities that are hugely affecting your compliance. Because as you saw, there was 8.2 million at risk. I hope this answers your question.
Also, I would like to add that we have prioritized our vulnerabilities in the report as we see as critical, high, medium, low. Then we would have to do a business cost-benefit analysis on these risks while taking into consideration the impact of these vulnerabilities. As some would lead to life loss, as my colleague said, I would prioritize anything leading to life loss and anything leading to compliance fines, as the compliance fines are very huge. Any other questions?
I will ask a question because I heard you talk about life loss and compliance is important. If you identify in the system any, I would say, possibilities for our customers to comply, it's important to identify.
Yes, in the report, our first vulnerability as critical has been identified as leading to loss of life. That has been the, we can stop or start any training at will without using any authentication.
And in your recommendation, did you give us a timeline? I guess some
Yes, we have included in the report a strategic plan for short and long-term actions, as well as a plan to implement those remediations.
Any effort associated to that? How many people will need to do that? Is there any effort associated to the plan? How many people will need to do that?
Okay. First of all, I would advise you to train your employees on security best practices. Also, you don't need new people to implement those, as you would need a standard to follow on. You would train your employees on that, then go from there. Any other questions?
You said in the beginning that you have some estimates of the resources needed to accomplish these recommendations.
Could we go back to that? I guess you're talking about compliance violations.
No, you said in the beginning when your process that you'd have estimates of the resources that we would need in order to, one of your very first charts.
Yes. Okay.
This one?
Yeah,
think it was
no,
the
keep going.
agenda.
Your flight roadmap, the very last one. It's one of your first charts.
I think if you go to the agenda, I think
Sorry
it was
about that,
listed
please.
there.
Yeah, that,
Beginning.
right there.
Yes.
Maybe it wasn't that one.
I think so.
Sorry about that.
There, effort to
effort
fix.
to
There we go.
Okay, effort to
Yes.
fix, yes. We have included the time needed to fix this vulnerability. Also, we haven't done a cost-benefit analysis. We have done a recommendation plan.